are live.
Yay!
You just make me want to sing.
Mm.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Um, we're super excited to be here. So Burkett is an amazing, wonderful, incredible creator and lady and friend, and somebody who works with me, who takes like I think probably all of my classes, and has been in the Generative Business Pods this past 6 months, and is going to do it again. And we were just chatting about the gift of this program and this like really a completely different space of doing business, which is something that just excites me always. Like I can't really get enough of just that, like the conversation of what the magic that's available with business when we are willing to be us and receive and create in a totally different way and undefine what business is.
Mm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we would just come and have a little chat.
Have a little chat.
Have a
And
little,
I just said to Heather, like, I might be a bit like, ah. So it's a good thing that we're talking about being undefined and business undefined.
totally. Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm curious. So let's see. There's so many different places we could go with this, but well, one of the reasons that I started the Generative Business Pods a long time ago is because I really wanted a place where we could have these conversations about really, because I had been, I had been creating business for a while. I had had a business coach for a long time that was kind of more like this reality. Um, I was always like, oh, this is so boring, it was like so much work, and then I found the tools of access consciousness, and it was like, this isn't about working, it isn't about doing, it isn't about proving, it's actually about being and receiving. And I started to drop into that space, and my business grew, and it grew some more, and it grew some more. And it really showed me how much, like, when you get out of the definitions of what business is, how you're supposed to create, how money shows up, who you are even in the world, that everything can change. And my income like would double and then double again and then double again. And it's like, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this is so much easier than everybody makes it out to be.
This works. This actually works.
It works. Yeah. So that was, I don't know, 8 or so years ago. And I started this Generative Business Pods, which is a 6-month, really like creation intensive, where you get into a totally different space with creation and business, but also like take apart a lot of things that you thought business was and that creation was. So what has been your experience with that, Miss Burkett?
Wow. Do you have a universe for me?
Yes. And
Wow. There are so many elements to that. And I guess, like, the most part is actually the energetics of it, for me. And not only the business parts, but just like being with you and creating with you. And like, for me, it is such a gift to be around you, because you are being a lot, and you are like, I mean, it's totally like, let's not define being undefined, right? But it is for me like, you are quite undefined, with business. So for me, that has actually been so, inspiring to really lean into that space, and to really lean into more of being and less judgment with it. And yeah, that by itself is like this whole different way of everything, actually. um yeah. So that's one huge part for me. And also being with other people, who are also like, hey, I want to look at this, I want to play with this, I am committed change my business or to create more or whatever it is, and then coming together with each other and having these conversations and extrapolating on that and receiving from each other and contributing, and yeah, that has opened up something else as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say? There's just so much energy. It's so cool. Um, I'm curious. I haven't actually asked you this, but what would you say has changed for you from being part of the Generative Business Pods?
Oh, yeah, way more receiving and way more exploring of what is true for me and what I know about business. And that's something I'm still playing with, that because it is so undefined. And then actually also being present with that and not trying to define it again, because I'm simply aware of other people who want to define me, actually, you know? Yeah.
That's
Just
so
to name something.
that's a big one. That's
Yeah.
a really big one. Yeah, it's funny, I was ice skating this morning. As I do almost every day. And I always like my like creative world always really explodes when I'm on the ice. And yeah, Kimberly, thanks everybody for being here. And
Ah, cool.
it's really nice to see your comments. And Kimberly says, "That's it. Others trying to define me." And it was so interesting because I was really aware of that when I was skating. And my body always like shows me all these things when I'm on the ice and about business and creation, amazingly enough. And I was skating and I was like, wow, I've defined myself as like a beginning skater and an adult skater and and I was like, and I'm also like, my body knows all this stuff about movement that may or may not be like correct in ice skating. But it was so fun because today I just went, I'm going to just go for it, and I just like turned it way up. And I could see like how much I was like, oh wow, I'm kind of like being big here on the ice. Like, and there was other skaters there. And it was like these people that I skate with all the time. And I was like, I'm being really different than I've been on this ice rink before. I'm being a lot bigger. I'm letting my whole body play. I have no idea if I'm doing it like quote unquote right according to ice skating, but I don't care because it's so much fun and it feels so good. And I was like skating better than I've ever skated before. And it was so interesting to go, wow, where do I tone myself down to fit in to like where I'm supposed to be, like relative to all these other people? Who's better than me, who's worse than me, who's been skating longer. And, of course, the kids are always the better skaters. And, and it was so interesting just to go, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to fit into that. And so, because we are exploring this next round of the business pods is about undefining business. So that's been a big conversation in my world. And it's so cool to go like, wow, what if I really brought that here as well and undefined myself as a skater and, all these things and like where I'm supposed to fall in the spectrum of things and really just like play and turn it up. And, like people can like, it's like, and then just going like, and then if I do that in every area of my life, what would that be like?
Mhm.
Not having to be like, well, I'm here in regards to these people, and then here in regards to these people, and where they define me and where I define me, and with this thing and that thing, and just it's like, wow, it's a lot of work. It's really a lot of work.
And it's so different to function from that undefined space, like, and I like that's so low, so how we are used to doing stuff, and how we teach stuff. Like in every business modality, it is about like finding your niche, and like you have to know who you're speaking to exactly, and then you have to exactly describe what you're doing and what you're being, and that always, I remember that when I wanted to create a website, I was like, ah, because it was so difficult for me. I was like, yeah, I'm everything sort of like this. And then you have to write down what you do or what you be. And then I was like, but it's not all that I am. And that always freaked me out a bit, because it seemed like if I would define it, then I would actually, yeah, like discard all the other stuff that I could be. And then
Mm.
I was afraid
Oh.
of excluding people knowing about that, and well, that whole universe. Yeah,
It's it's just so much work. It really, like, it's so much work.
yeah, it is. But I also get, because I've also, now that we're starting this new series, which I'm so excited about, because in a way it's so like my body knows so much about this. My body is like
Yeah.
so excited with this conversation. And I've also been looking at like, um and we've talked about that a few times, where those undefined energies, so not only like what we're being and like undefined business, but even like the asks or the awarenesses, like it requires so much presence to let them be dominant, and to actually, and choice, like again and again, choice to listen to that and be aware of that and be present with that, instead of the definitions that like the whole world is screaming about.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. The definitions that the whole world is screaming about. And it's so, like, we relate to each other and each other's definitions and fit into each other's definitions. Like, and the sole purpose of that is really to stay the same, to not upset the apple cart, to not create too many ripples, too many waves, you know? And I was thinking about this when I was having my skating, like my body facilitating me on the ice rink this morning. And I was like, this particular next 6 months of the Generative Business Pods is, I was like, it's not for the faint of heart. Like, because functioning from this space of undefining yourself, undefining business, undefining you in relationship to other people is like, it gives you a sort of dangerous level of freedom to choose at any moment what you want to be, how you want to be, like how you want to show up. You have like when we always say what you define, you confine, right? So when you undefine, you unconfine, and then watch out, because the choices that you have and how you can show up. And it was so cool today with watching this on the rink, where I was like I was moving my fingers in a way that I used to move my fingers and using my hands when I was a ballerina. Like I grew up doing ballet for 16 years. And I was like, I was like dancing like a ballerina with my upper body. And it was so cool because it was changing everything about my skating. And I was like, whoa, this is like too big and too expressive and too, like, I'm supposed to just be this beginning, and it was like I could feel that sense of like, am I like too much? And then I went, yeah, I'm too much. Like I've always been too much,
You're even too much just when you're like, I.
And too much when you're confined by the definitions. But then, like I said, you have to work so much to maintain all of that and keep all that in place and be that, like, relate to all the people of like where you're supposed to fall and how it's all supposed to look and be and all that. And it was just so cool to be like, no, what if we actually like really go beyond this, and it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah,
And it takes this willingness to really go, like, turn it up, amp it up, be bigger. And it's not about being bigger than anybody else. It's just being bigger than you've ever been willing to be
yeah,
before. And some people may not like that. They may be threatened by it. They may be inspired by it. They may lust after you. They may hate you, and you just can't make any of it relevant.
yeah. And that's exactly that thing of tuning in again and again. And also something that I've been playing with like these days with this, I became aware of this energy of of where I make myself smaller, and where I go into this victim energy, and even yesterday when we were on Dane's call, which by the way was
The money class. Dane here did a money class yesterday that was phenomenal.
slowly, slowly.
Yeah.
But I also became aware of, like, it's really for me now, right now, what I'm choosing again and again when this energy comes up is just like choosing to go beyond it. So even when someone asks, like, are you willing to let that go, and I get a no. Yesterday I was like, well, fuck that. Even if it's a no, I can still choose to say, well, I'm doing it anyway. I'm going beyond it,
I love that. Like, no schmo. Like, no schmo. I'm gonna go.
I love
That could be our new motto. No schmo. I'm gonna go.
Yes. Yeah. And also today I gave a bars class, and it was similar to the energy that you just spoke about. I'm just amazed by how we how like these definitions can seem like prominent and also like safe in a way, and then we can have this whole idea of what it is, and then when we actually look at it and we flip it, it turns out to be this universe of actually possibilities and space. And so we, or whoever that is, like, we think it is this, but it is actually the opposite, and it is so fertile. I could literally see like these sprouts of new something,
Mm, yum.
um,
I
but,
love
but I do have to remind myself and again, because I still, like, there a lot of my attention goes to what is not that. So, well, but now I'm choosing to just go beyond that.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that is so cool. I
yeah,
love that, like that image of the little sprouts, those little teeny like
yeah.
sprouts, like just budding and starting to, peek out through the soil and that's like, I mean, it's amazing because our judgments kill those, and those little sprouts they're actually, kind of fragile when they're new. Like they're not as robust as bigger plant, stems or plants or whatever. So our judgments really kill, and our definitions, a definition is just another kind of form of judgment. Kills all of those new little budding possibilities, and also when we either buy the judgments of other people, we align and agree with them and reject ourselves, or when we like defend against them, and resist and react. Because if you're resisting and reacting to somebody's judgments of you, or even projecting and expecting that they are judging you, you have to like busy yourself with that in your own world. And what if you really didn't have to busy yourself with the judgments of others, the definitions of others, how you relate to all of that? What if you were like moving so quickly with such a like speed and willingness to choose and willingness to go,
Yeah.
without the need for definition to confine you, but it's just like this freedom of like movement that actually, where you're like, oh, I didn't even notice, like if someone was judging, or I love that when like someone tells me, oh, so and so was judging you, or this, like, you just got a lot of judgment, and I'll be like, I had no idea. I didn't really, I was
I'll
too
have that too, please. More of that.
yeah. Yeah, because sometimes
Yeah.
I know and then I stop, but when I don't, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that, um, and that's sort of that happy idiot place of like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna keep going.
And that's also that space of what you've been inviting us on during the pods and on other creations like that. You do have to know what you actually are asking for, and not the definition of it again, but you do
Mm.
have to know what you're asking for. And that's like, I wrote something about that yesterday of like, fuck, I really, how we say that you have to have enough going on to actually be excited about your life and not control stuff. And I knew that, of course. I knew it with my head, but I also knew it with my being from experiencing it. But yesterday, like, I had all these movement of creations, and actually was very clear of what I was choosing and what I was asking for. And it was such a universe change. And I do get that it is such um, required element in this whole conversation, because for me, when I do not know what I am asking for, and that was quite of like the space of where I was drifting, but I was also not really present with what I was asked, like really tuning into that with the space and as the space. Like if I don't do that, then it's like, whoop, floop, let's take a reference point again, or let's ask the same questions again, or like
Mhm.
whatever, like the whole definition thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a quote that I won't remember it and I'll butcher it, but it's something from in here about how, like, if you don't, well, I simply put, it's like, if you don't create you, this reality will, like if you're not constantly just creating from that undefined space and the space of possibilities and like what it is that then you'll just sort of default to this reality and the impossibility of this reality rather than the possibility of what what you be, what you can create, what you can choose that's different. And like
Yeah.
there aren't reference points for it because it's you and you're different than everybody else. Like you're not going to be able to look around the world and see any reference points for you because you are the only one of you.
But that's also where you're different, because like yes, and it's where you're different, and that's what makes these conversations so different, because like it's different when you are with someone, in this case you, when you actually be that space of what you're talking about. That's such a way to, yeah. Like for you it's like duh, but there are also
Yeah.
people that talk about it in another way.
Yeah. Oh,
So
that's so funny.
it's different. And well, it may contribute to people that, for me, when I was like, after we've done a class and it changes a lot, and you're in this, like, in this blank space, that for a long while I was like, I don't know what I desire. But now I know, like, that wasn't really true. I was just even though I thought I was present, and where was I also let myself be like driven by my awarenesses of everything around me. So yeah, there was space and there was blank, but there was also like no choice in a way. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm excited about. Like, because so often, like when we're in that space, then we go back to the definition. And that's what I'm excited about with this whole pots, because I'm like, wow, I'm if I perceive the energies that I'm asking for right now, which I literally don't have words for, and like, but they do excite me. And like, I could say I do not know what I want, because it's not like I want this and I want this and I want this and I want this. But
Yeah.
I do perceive an energy, but I'm actually really the only one that can perceive it. And even I am like, what the fuck is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. I love that. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And, I mean, there's so much we could say about knowing what you want, not know, but like it's so for so many of us, it's we could all probably throw some things out there, but it's also like having clarity on that, but also from that undefined space where it's like it's the energy of it way more than the specifics of it. And then when you get the energy of it, then it's like as things show up, it's so much easier to like to get to see that your life is growing and expanding because you're functioning from the energy rather than from the definition. And so often with people, I know this has happened to me so many times and lots of other people that I've talked to, where things show up in your life that you've asked for, but they don't look the way that you define them as. And so you miss the fact that they've shown up, you don't acknowledge it, and then they sort of you have to stop yourself there. Like if you have a goal or a target or something you've asked for, and you've defined it to such a degree that when it shows up, but it's over here and it looks different, your definitions will keep you from acknowledging it and receiving it and then having more, you know.
Mm,
So we're just this is just like there's so
that's
many
like,
pieces
wow.
to this conversation. Yeah. And
Then you keep looking for it, thinking that it hasn't shown up yet.
totally. And it has. It's like it's right there, you know? Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We're funny. We are really funny creative creatures.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the business paths, it's a 6 month journey,
Yeah.
right? And we're starting quite soon already on the is it on the 1st of February?
Tuesday. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
exactly.
did Tuesday, yeah. And we actually, we already did a little, like, I call it the foreplay. We did, a telecall on X-Men and business this past week, which was
Yeah.
amazing. Like, talk about undefining. Oh my gosh, it was so incredible. Like, really getting into this space of the energetics of creation from and as you as this totally different creature on the planet, you know?
And can I just for a moment hop in here, because like these calls for me, like there's also such, as you're saying that now, I'm perceiving again like how there's so much peace actually in having these conversations, and also on the pods. There's there's actually so much peace when we, or when I, like, choose to function from being undefined, function as me, then it all falls away in a way. It's so much more ease.
It's so much more ease and there is so much more peace. I totally agree with you. And it requires a lot of courage,
Hmm.
you know, which is why I was saying like this is not like this one in particular is not for the faint of heart. Like this next 6 months of the business pods really requires like because I sort of drive the program in a lot of ways with what I'm asking for. And it's not that it's about me, but it's like what I perceive is possible for us to all step into, which is also part of what I'm asking for and what I'm choosing, and then what I invite people to choose. And, you know, and we create it together. But there's this real different possibility right now that is, it's so much more palpable in terms of money and business and success and growth and creation, but really from the space of receiving and being, which I am telling you, I've had a big lesson in this today, and lots of them over time. But today, I've been really looking at this and having conversations with people about contribution and receiving as your as like being and receiving as this space from which business can be created and actualized. It is amazing and terrifying, and really you have to be willing to be different. And I feel like I've stepped into it more today in so many ways, just today. And as I have, I've been like, wow, like it's been really uncomfortable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But also like miraculous. What I'm like, wow, I haven't let myself have that. I haven't let myself have that. I haven't let myself receive that much contribution and that much contribution and ask for what I desire. And it's like been all these things kind of like in my face all day today. And holy crap, like what is truly available for those of us who are asking for something different and willing to have it is, it's off the charts right now. And this 6 months in particular, we are going to go. And so,
Yes.
yeah. So if you're ready for that, strap on, strap in, or don't jump on the rocket. You'll get you'll get the 3 calls that we've already done, the X-Men and business calls that we did last week,
Yeah.
and
And then
we
it's 2 group calls a month, right?
yeah,
Uh,
there's 2 group calls, there's small group calls, so there's pod calls, which are like small group calls, and private sessions, and lots of bonuses, like tons. You basically get to hang out with me every day if you want to.
well, yeah. For certain, energetically, like, yes. And also physically. But just to mention, because the small groups for me, that's also like, because you have like the big group call where you are with everybody, and then you have these smaller groups where you are with, for example, 4 or 5 people, and then it's sort of like a private session in a way, but
Mhm.
with each other. So
Yeah.
you can bring in, it's also very pragmatic. You can literally bring in a question or something that you're playing with in your business or that you're looking at, and that for me is also a great element of the business pods,
Yeah.
that also makes it very pragmatic, and like that you really can change stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the pod calls, the small group calls. They are so magical. And the cool thing is, you have 5 people on a call, but then you also get to listen to all of the calls. So you only come to one of those pod calls a month, but then you get to hear the recordings of all of them. And that's really amazing because people just like dive in and feast on those calls. When it's pod week, people are like, feasting on the calls. It's really because we have, 4 or 5 of them, depending on how many people we have in the pods. So cool
Yeah.
stuff. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot me a message or Burkett a message on Facebook or Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever. Yeah, if you're ready to jump on a rocket ship of receiving and being and creation and money flows and joy and joy and joy, come and play. We still have some spots open. We start on Tuesday officially. Generativebusinesspods.com is where you would go. And you can also get there through my website, heathernichols.com. And let's go, baby, go, baby, go.
Yes.
Thanks for being here, everybody. It's great to read your comments and just have you here with us. So thank you so much. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.